Is everybody had a decent break, or have you had them in and ticking over?
Yeah, no, I think it's been fine. It's been different for everyone. Some have gone national teams, some have stayed here, some have had some times to recover as well. But in all, with the how heavy the schedule is, it's been a good time. Yeah.
How is everybody? Have you got players not available? Anybody fighting to make it?
If you name the players, I will give you an honest answer. But otherwise, I'm trying to give as little away as I can. And the only thing I can say is we've got no major concerns, and it's good to start this new heavy period. Yeah.
Heavy's the right word, isn't it? Because I think it's 8 games in October. What are your thoughts on that? It seems a very, very intensive time.
Yeah, I have no complaints. It's something I wanted to experience, wanted to do. I think we built the squad as well to do it. There's no hiding away from the time you have to put into it, though, to prepare every game to the standards you want to prepare them. But in general, I think the only little details I would add is that just to increase the number of subs on the bench, because we're going into a heavy period and it's all good and stuff. We want to play those games, but we don't seem to have the ability to bring in as many players as we need to, and that's a detail that I would change.
How do you manage the situation though? Because I'm guessing, like when you were a player, every player wants to play in every game, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, one is you make the players aware of the demand of the schedule and the absolute discipline they need to have to stay. You can't have ups and downs because a player doesn't play. Crack on. Do your job, work hard. It's our task to give them a feeling like they are developing whilst they're with us, even if they don't play. And it's their task to work hard and compete and try and be better than whoever's playing. And if that balance is right, then having a big squad is a necessity. Yeah.
Cardiff not had the best of starts. Managerial departure. What do you make of their season so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's always what's the English expression, in the eye of the beholder, right? It depends. I think usually realistic ambitions, it's difficult to align reality with ambitions and to make sure that ambitions are realistic. So I watched a lot of games of Cardiff and it seemed to me as if they were doing some good things. But okay, it goes like this sometimes, and now it's a new manager. He gets a chance, and young manager as well, that I'm sure will have a good career.
And in terms of where you're at the moment, you've had your first sort of 10-game block. You're fourth. What's your assessment of how you started the season at this stage?
I think we've stayed calm. There has been a little bit of a hype around us, but it's not something that has lived within the club. It's not something that has lived within the dressing room. I think we work hard. It remains in our minds. Burnley, and Burnley. It's an attitude. It's about the effort we put in, the team ahead of the individual. And we work on that, and if we lose a game or if we have a draw, we don't get carried away as well. We don't get over emotional, and if we win, we allow people to celebrate around us, but we just move on and we go to the next game, and that's what lives within the club.
And how are you finding it? Managing in English football. I know it's only been 10 games, but I mean, as you say, the hype, the build-up, and everything else. How are you finding it?
I personally, I love it. It's. I don't think in England you realise how much this is, definitely the most special place if you want to be associated to football. It's very unique. I mean, it's one thing to talk about the standard of the players. I think you find good players in other leagues everywhere as well. That's not the problem. But the biggest difference is, the infrastructure, the organisation, the level of staff and people that you come across, not just in your own staff, but you come across week in, week out. It's truly unique, and then the Northwest in itself, it's like no other place when football is your passion.
And in terms of the season, you just used the word unique. We're probably in a unique season because of the World Cup coming up. Have you already given a bit of thought to how you're going to manage that? Because you're going to have a huge spurt of games and then again another stop.
No, the players are aware. You know, they know. You know, they can go to their home to their homes and talk to the missus and get their holidays done and booked. And we know what pre-season will be and when it will be, and so that side of it is off the table. The international break was also a perfect moment to just look into that a little bit, just to make sure we get the balance right. And you're right, when you look at the schedule and you look in depth in what the schedule is, it's that intense that it couldn't be better for us to have that break at that time. And when you come back from the break, it hits you again. So we've definitely taken that into account.
And when it comes to the actual World Cup, are you going to give them a break and then effectively have a new pre-season? I mean, how do you play that?
Yeah, it's a little bit similar to what you experience in Europe a little bit more, you know. So you have a mid-season break, you get 10 days holiday maybe, depending on schedule of the next game, schedule of the last game, you know, that might swing a day or two. And then you give yourself a couple of weeks of, you know, pre-season, but it'll be, you know, you're starting off from a much higher point than when you start in the summer, and therefore 10 days is manageable, and you just give them a couple of weeks, 2 weeks and a half of good work, and they're ready for the rest of the season.
And if you're going to feature in top 6 or top 4 or top 2 or whatever, what have you got to do better in the rest of the season compared to how you've gone on so far?
Well, we know what's hurt us so far, and it's very solvable. But we know as well how we've hurt a lot of teams so far this season, and for the team to be able to come together and have this period where you look back and you look forward, you know, that's already a step for us in the right direction. Because like I said, we've got 17 or 16 new signings, and all these guys have to become a team, and being able to look back and say this is what we did and look forward and this is what we want to do. I hope we're going to just see progress on all fronts.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Vincent, it's been a busy international break. We make it 13 Burnley players involved in internationals at various levels across the world. It must be pleased for you to see so many players getting called up. Yeah.
There's two sides to it. You see your players go, and you're always wondering, hoping that they come back fit. But in essence, you know, they go and represent their countries. They get an experience. They get something that many players are dreaming of, and I've been a player myself. So yeah, we wish them well, and we're happy with. We've got everybody back fit, so now we're happy. You know, now we can hopefully get the benefits of it as well.
A couple of match-ups as well, wasn't there? Zarori and Matson, we spoke to Ian Matson earlier. Muric and Bailey Peacock-Farrell played against each other, and Howard Bellis against Jordan Bayer, so that's strange. Yeah,
it's that thing, you know, you across the pitch, you see the guy that you're fighting with every single week and every weekend, and there's these personal stories as well. But it's not just the players that you're playing with; it's players you've played with before as well that you get to see in these moments. But they're used to it, and it's part of. It's always nice to see someone you know on the other side.
We've touched on it. It's 11 games, I make it, in 44 days before the World Cup. Yeah. It's a frantic schedule. Yeah. Does that force your hand? Do you have to look at rotating the side a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's the most obvious discussion, I think, in a championship. When you have that many games, you don't start off saying I'm just going to rotate, but in the end I could put on a piece of paper now every player in my team who's able to play 3 times 90 minutes in a week, and those who aren't, and I could put on a piece of paper now as well at what intensity they can do it. But sometimes it's dictated by the reality. If game 1 is an easy one, then you crack on. Second game, you're not having to worry too much, but if game 1 was the hardest game, you know, it then forces your hand. But we're prepared, I'd say even willing, because it's exciting for us to see the other players as well. And we had this in our mind when we started in the transfer period.
Over recent years, Burnley have been used to being the underdogs week in, week out. That's sort of changed this season in the Championship. Burnley generally expected to win. How do you treat that sort of turnaround?
I can't say. I've never known anything different. So, you know, you look at each game with only one thing in your mind, and is how can we win the game? I don't have a kind of an alternative scenario. I don't go to any place in anywhere. I've never done that and look at anything else than winning. It's the only thing that I'm looking at.
I'll mention one name because the fans are looking forward to seeing Scott Twine. He looked like he was close to the side before the international break. How's he doing?
Yeah, I think Scott has been the one that is. It's been a little bit unlucky in the start of this of his journey with us, and it's one that we're having to just slow down a bit, manage, and just give him a chance that when he's actually ready to come on the scene, that we have him for a long period of time. He's generally a player who's fit, and he's generally a player who's willing to apply himself to improve. So I'm sure that once he's back, he'll be back for a period of time. But it's that niggle period we're in. We just got to get him out of that. It's
Cardiff on Saturday. They've had a large turnaround of players as well, sort of similar to Burnley. Have you been able to watch a lot of them?
Well, I can watch as much as I want. I mean, it's a different manager, so I've done my homework. I know the players. I know the options they have, and you know, I'm like every other manager. I'm trying to get as much information as I can, but you know, it's a new manager across the table for me, and there's only so much you can guess, and I'm not intending on starting a new Spygate. So it just I fully accept that we're gonna come to the game with only pieces of information, and we'll be ready to adapt to that.
Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.
Go well.
That concludes broadcast session.